Hey guys, what's up? We are back with another video today, and today we are doing a Vanderbilt Commodores football preview and prediction. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below, as I am going to reach my goal of 1,000 subscribers by the end of May. So help me reach that goal by hitting that subscribe button down below. Like the video if you enjoy it. If you disagree with it, dislike it. Don't really care, but make sure that you let me know your comments down in the comments section below, whether you agree or disagree with my record prediction for the Commodores. Also, make sure that you check out the website, the Patreon page, and the podcast. All links in the description down below, and will also be at the top of your screen to your right. So let's get started with today's video. Let's make our way to the Commodores schedule. So starting off the year, the Commodores once again play Hawaii. This time it will be a game in Vandy at Nashville. So this should be a win. Last time was a pretty interesting matchup, pretty close early on, and then Vandy just blew the living crap out of Hawaii later on in the season, or later on in the game. Should be an interesting matchup, should be a fun week 0 matchup, but other than that, Vandy should get the win, and it should be a pretty easy win here. Then heading on to the next game, you have Alabama A&M. This is going to be a pretty easy dub. If you have any issues here, Clark Lee, you're in some major trouble. But you do have a good team this year with Vandy, with A.J. Swan coming back. You should have an interesting overall roster. You have a lot of pieces coming back in your wide receivers and stuff like that. You have Prince Kali transferring in from Notre Dame, and as a Notre Dame fan, I do think that Prince Kali is a big pickup there for Vanderbilt because he was a former 5-star out of the Nashville area. So it's a big deal to be able to get him back in the area. I think that will be a big deal. The defense should be a little bit better this year. The offense should be a little bit more of the issue. Speaking of offense, at Wake Forest, if this game was the game that was at Vanderbilt, if it was switched, if this game was at Vanderbilt, I'd have a W. But with this game being in Winston-Salem, I'm going to have the Demon Deacons winning this game here. Sorry, Vanderbilt, but it is very possible. I'd give Vanderbilt probably a 45% chance to win this game. It's going to be 50-50. It's going to be a tough matchup, but it should be an interesting one nonetheless. So heading on to the next matchup, we got UNLV here. UNLV doesn't have too much to say overall when it comes to this matchup. UNLV has really struggled these past couple of years, and I think that this should be a pretty easy win for the Commodores as this kind of enters a stretch of very interesting matchups as you get into SEC play, where you have 3 very interesting matchups of Kentucky, Missouri, and Florida before you get to that really tough second half of the schedule. So first game against Kentucky, I have them getting the W here. Last year, you came up just short against Kentucky. I'm sorry. You beat Kentucky. I'm sorry. But you barely beat them in Kentucky. I think that this is another game that you should have the capability of winning. And I think that A.J. Swan, I think that that's a good matchup for them, him versus Devin Leary. I think that you're in a good position. Offensively, Vanderbilt showed some progress last year. And defensively, I don't think it will be like the top unit in the SEC. It's not going to be Georgia good. But I think that it could be a team that definitely has some pieces, especially in that front 7 to be able to win. So I think that you're able to get the W there by being able to beat Kentucky. Then you have another home game against Missouri. I think that you get the W here. This is a game in which last year I thought was a possibility of a win, and this is going to be one of the games that you have to win in order to get that 6th win threshold. If you're not going to beat Wake Forest, you have to beat both Missouri and Kentucky. You have to beat 2 of the 3. And I think if you're going to do that, starting off by beating them, I think that beating Missouri, that gives you a big advantage there, and being able to also now move up the ranks a little bit in trying to beat a team that you just don't normally beat. Though this is going to be a much better Missouri team than last year. Missouri was really bad last year. Luther Burden, the 5-star wide receiver that they had come in 2 years ago, should be a little bit better now and should make it a little bit more interesting of a team. But I still think Vanderbilt should get the win here. So this was a team that you beat last year against Florida. Now you head to the Swamp. Swamp is a difficult place to play. I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to give the win to the Gators. It's just it's going to be a difficult place to go into. If like it is very possible that you win this game. It's not completely impossible that you win the game, but I think that it is very unlikely that you do, because going into the Swamp, that's just going to be a difficult task to handle. So I think that you're going to have to take that L there. Then you play Georgia at home. This is just, if you can keep it within 30 points, that's a win in of itself. Georgia is just, they're a great team. They're just a good team. That's a tough environment to be in. That's a tough pace to play. So have a loss against Georgia. Then you have a bye week, and then you play Ole Miss. This should be actually a pretty interesting game. And if this game was in Nashville, I would consider it as a possibility of a win, but because it is going to be in Oxford, I'm going to have to give them the L there, to give them the third straight L. Jackson Dart should be good enough, and Lane Kiffin, though it's a possibility. He's up and down. Lane Kiffin's always kind of very bipolar in his football nature, and that he kind of does struggle from time to time. Then you have a home game against Auburn. Not the biggest Hugh Freeze fan there. I'm not the biggest Peyton Foran fan there either. So I'm going to give the Vanderbilt Commodores a win here. That gets them to 6 wins. Right now they're riding high 6-4, but it's going to be a tough last 2 games of the season. Last year you got beat bad by South Carolina. I think it's going to be another bad game for you. South Carolina's a good team led by Spencer Rattler and that dynamic offense. Expect Spencer Rattler to take another step forward and get the win there. So sorry, Vandy, but that's going to be a tough game. Then you have a bye week before you play your in-state rival, Tennessee. And unless if Joe Milton regresses incredibly and Tennessee regresses incredibly, I'm going to have to make this a 6-6 final record. So, but it is a good season, and I think that Vanderbilt overall will have a good team with a good atmosphere. So I think that Vanderbilt is in a good spot. They are improving, and last year they were 6-6, and this year last year they were 5-7, and this year I think they'll be 6-6. So Clark Lee, I think, is improving, and 6-6 by no means, as you Commodore fans know, is a bad record in Vanderbilt country. Obviously, you'd like more, but this is where you're at. I think you can get 6-6. I think 7-5 is a possibility. I think getting that 7th win either in a bowl game or in the regular season is a possibility, but it's going to be a tough road ahead. So make sure you hit the 2 videos down below and hit the subscribe button up here. And as always, have a great day. Bye, guys.